Hello and welcome guys to my YouTube presentations. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Jossy Putra Ferdian from 4C class, Department of English Education, UIN Syarif Hidayatullah, Jakarta. And right now I want to give you about a review from the book that I have read before. The title is Face to Face Elementary Workbook and written by Redstone and Gillie Cunningham. And this book is being published by Cambridge University Press and in 2005. So I will give you about the brief explanation on each chapter about so you know about what happenings on each chapter. So we move to the first chapter. In first chapter, this chapter is the exercise is focused on building students' vocabularies through the daily activities, like describing a daily activities. I mean, like how to give self introductions correctly and introducing the students to the numbers from 0 to 100. And this chapter is also discuss about personal possessions and plural possessions. And we move to the chapter 2 is the practice are focus on the things that we do in the real life, like conversations. We must fill in the blank, like conversations about time, about discussing about weather, asking for personal details. And also in this chapter, the exercise are focused on discussing another personal possessions and prepositions of place. And move to the chapter 3. In chapter 3, the practice are focused on how children can properly describe their daily routines, like describing a free times activities, but still paying attention to the time phrase, like on, it, at, every, month, date, or etc. And also in this chapter are discussing about how the students can give a positive or negative answers, yes or no questions in simple present tense. So we move to the fourth chapter. In chapter 4, the practice are focused on still describing of free times activities, but this time is paying attention to the personal opinions, like the things that we like or we dislike. And also in this chapter discuss about giving a positive and negative answers, but in perspective of he, she, it correctly. And we move to the chapter 5. In chapter 5, the practice are focused on still building a vocabularies for students through through the discussion of describing about a place in the city or in a country, or mentioning things in the room, or how to make a good sentence when you are buying a things from the market. So the practice are focused on that thing. And also in this chapter discuss about what is called plural nouns. What is it? Oh yeah, move to the chapter 6. In this chapter, the practice are more focused on learn about various kinds of adjective words, but delivered through uh, delivered through the variety of topics, like describing of describing a life event, or describing about weekend activities. And also in this chapter is how to make a sentence with the good word order. And we move to the chapter 7. In chapter 7 is the practice are focused on enriching the vocabularies through the general discussions, with the topics of like discussing about the films, the movies, or another daily activities in life. And also in this chapter discuss about how to give discussing a question word, how to make a good sentence in a past tense. And we move to the chapter 8. In chapter 8, the practice are focused on still discussing about past tense, but there are a little extra exercise on this chapter, and it is discussing about how to give adjective words correctly through describing a place. And we move to the chapter 9. In chapter 9, the practice are focused on building a vocabulary for the students, because in this chapter 9 is talk about talk about daily activities in life, like we describing about our jobs, describing about the type of transportation on the city. And also in this chapter is also in this chapter the exercise is more focused on giving positive and negative answers, but in the form of present continuous tense. And we move to the chapter 10. In chapter 10, the practice are focused on building vocabularies through describing about health, and describing about frequency of expressions. And we must choose the right vocabularies that describing ourselves. And then also in this chapter is we talk about how to how to select good vocabularies when we talk about the weather. Next we move to the chapter 11. The practice are focused on verb collocations correctly. And and the exercise in this chapter is discussing about giving direction to someone, but in a polite way. And we move to the chapter 12. And in this chapter is the practice are focused on how to write small numbers or a large number in the right context. And And also in this chapter is discussing about present perfect tense. I think that's a brief explanation this about these books. I will give you a short impressions of me after reading this book. I think this book is well organized because I like the way the book is delivered the contents. Like they give a lot of pictures on each page, and it makes this books is very creative, and makes this book is not boring for, especially for the students. I think the students is interesting to read these books. I think that was all from me. See you guys. Thank you so much.